The kingdom's soldiers were informing the queen that they had failed to kill Charlotte again due to the Black Knight's interference. Because it was already the third time they had failed, she was thinking of facing the Black Knight herself and killing Charlotte with her own hands. However, the Black Knight came to her himself, and he dealt with the queen's subordinates easily. The queen couldn't believe that he managed to sneak through the palace's barrier, but Haruto just tore through the barriers easily. The queen used a 3-layered magic circle to trap him inside a water sphere. But Haruto easily escaped from it, so she immediately launched numerous icicles at him. He was surprised at how fast she could cast her magic. Although Haruto managed to block the icicles, he was engulfed by the queen's fire magic, and she thought she could burn him like charcoal. However, he was still unscathed, and while she was wondering what kind of creature Haruto was, he launched a counterattack that was barely blocked by the queen. He kept attacking until she ran out of energy, so she had no choice but to rely on her swordsmanship to continue fighting. Although it looked like she had the upper hand, Haruto easily disarmed her with one strike. Afterwards, Haruto placed a collar around the queen's neck using his magic. She felt insulted by the collar, so she wanted to try removing it. But Haruto warned her that her head would be cut off if she tried removing it by force. The queen was even more enraged, and she asked what Haruto was planning to do with her. However, he told her that he didn't care about her plans or what she would become. But he warned her about meddling with Margrave Gold's family and territory again. Then he told her that she could never remove the collar until he forgave her, and before leaving, he reminded her of the consequences if she tried to go against his request. The queen was in tears after suffering this humiliation. Haruto wasn't comfortable after dealing with his biological mother, and even Flay thought that he was lax, but she was impressed with his method of putting her under control. Although Haruto didn't kill his mother this time, he was planning to prepare in case she tried anything, and he vowed that he wouldn't show mercy next time, and Flay was pleased to hear it. After Haruto overpowered the queen in their battle, 5 peaceful years had passed where she had never interfered with Haruto's family or territory. Haruto was with Char and Flay, who were both playing in the snow. Char was still an anime geek as she proudly showed Haruto the transformation brooch she made using the snow, while he was amazed that Flay replicated their castle. But he thought that her skills were mostly useless. Then he noticed that Flay was feeling cold because she refused to wear anything else aside from the maid's uniform that Haruto likes. So Haruto had to use his magic to dress her in a coat, and he also told her to just ask if she had anything she needed. Hearing this, Flay immediately said that she had 10 requests for him, which Haruto rejected without hesitation. Afterwards, Char told him that she also had a request for him. She told Haruto that she had thought up a special move that uses the snow. However, she couldn't do it herself, so she wanted him to use his powers and do it instead. Haruto got a bad feeling about it, but he was willing to do it for Char, and Flay felt jealous that he hadn't rejected her request. She made him recite some embarrassing chants before making a cyclone out of snow. The special move dug a deep crater in the ground, so both Flay and Char were amazed at how powerful he was. Although he still felt embarrassed, he didn't mind it after seeing how happy Char was. However, their parents suddenly arrived, and they were wondering what the crater on the ground was. Char was worried that they would discover Haruto's power, so Haruto made a copy of Black Knight and told them that he just showed up to show them his special move, and they chose to believe it when Char also tried to convince them. Afterwards, Haruto and Gold talked about how the queen had stopped trying to kill Char. Gold has also heard that the queen has stopped appearing in public because she has a slave-like collar around her neck. He also added that at first, everyone who saw the queen thought that it was just a weird fashion item, but they realized that it couldn't be taken off. Haruto felt satisfied that the queen and the empire had stopped interfering with their lives, and he thought of immediately going back to his room to start the hold-up life he had been dreaming of. However, Gold stopped him from leaving and told him that he would be attending a school in the capital starting next summer. Haruto didn't want to go, as he only had bad experiences in school in his previous life. However, Gold explained that the king requested it himself. Gold was thinking that Princess Marion had requested this since she had been interested in him since the inspection. He also added that Prince Laius would be skipping grades to be in the same class as Haruto, so the king is also aiming to create a good friendship between the prince and Haruto. Although Gold was worried that the queen was scheming something, they couldn't refuse as it would cause a lot of trouble for Gold, and even Haruto understood this. Afterwards, they had to pick a personal attendant for Haruto since he had to focus on studying completely while at school. They couldn't think of anyone aside from Flay, but Haruto was certain that she would just cause more trouble for him, so he decided against bringing her. At the same time, Natalia showed up, saying that she could easily take care of him and his meals. However, she couldn't go as well, as no student is bringing their parents to be their attendant, so they decided to just look for an attendant in the remaining 3 months before the school starts. Although Haruto agreed, he was actually planning to have his clone attend school for him while he started his hold-up life. But, as he had expected, his clone refused. Haruto explained that he would just be attending temporarily, as they would use the fact that his clone is weak and unable to use magic, so he was planning to make himself look incompetent in order to get kicked out of the school right away. His clone refuted that he could just do it himself, so Haruto explained that he might accidentally use his barrier magic if he got into trouble. The clone still refused, so Haruto promised to use his barrier magic to protect him before saying that he had no choice but to go. The clone was still unhappy, as he wanted to live a hold-up life as well, but he finally agreed, thinking that it was really necessary. After reaching an agreement with his clone, Haruto went to a lakeside log house he had built on a nearby mountain. It took him 5 years to build the house, but he was satisfied as he thought that it was where he would be staying for his peaceful hold-up life. He felt more satisfied playing his console game alone in the quiet house compared to staying inside the castle. He thought it was the best. However, he couldn't prevent Flay and Char from coming over to watch anime. Haruto thought that Char was getting bored watching anime as she wasn't coming over to his room to watch, but she explained that she was actually getting more lectures now and that their parents had also asked her to stop hanging around in his room too much. So she asked Flay to bring her to his lakeside house, as she wanted to watch more anime. After hearing this, Haruto realized that it was actually hard for her to get into his house, so he mentioned that he could also use his magic for teleportation. However, although he tried using it to travel short distances, he had never tried it with living beings. After hearing this, Flay immediately suggested using his clone to experiment. Haruto thought she was horrible, but she refuted that he had made the clone to be useful for him. Afterwards, Haruto opened a portal to his room in the castle and asked his clone to pass through it. However, his clone knew what he was thinking. Haruto was afraid of failing and being lost in space, so he didn't want to try it himself. Then his clone started provoking him, thinking that he wouldn't dare pass through the portal. Haruto was pissed and wanted to use his magic to drag his clone through the portal. However, Flay was also furious, so she jumped through the portal first and threw his clone into his log house through the portal. Seeing this, Haruto concluded that the experiment was a success, and that they had solved the problem of going back and forth to the castle. But Haruto remembered that he had forgotten to find himself an attendant. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and look forward to the next part.